When was the last time you questioned yourself? When was the last time you wrote down exactly what you will do throughout the day? When was the last time you made that schedule for your day? My friends, most of us are sadly living an automated life where they are reacting to what is happening around themselves. And that is what I want to talk about in this video. Here is a story that I want to share with you. So when a researcher took a glass jar, and pulled a bunch of flies in the jar and covered it with a transparent lid, what he experienced was that all the flies were trying to come out of the jar, but they were unable to do so because of the glass lid. Because of that, they, in the next 3 days, learned that there is a ceiling above them that they cannot cross, the flies. And then what happened is that they never tried to touch that lid or go above that lid or go close to that lid. And when the researcher carefully replaced the lid with nothing and just removed it completely, the flies never thought of coming out of the jar. They sat there all the time, never thinking they should try to get out of the lid. And that is called as the invisible lid effect. Many of us are living in jars thinking that they have an invisible lid on top of them, when in reality there is none. Now here is another experiment that you should clearly listen to. Now when researchers took a cage and had 5 monkeys in that cage, there was a ladder kept in the middle with a banana on the top. And any of these monkeys could climb up the ladder and get the bananas. And when one of those monkeys used to eat the banana, the other 4 monkeys were electrocuted by the researchers, right? And so what happened when done consistently is that these monkeys started connecting pain and danger with eating the bananas. And when any one of them used to climb up the ladder to get the banana, the other 4 monkeys used to pull that monkey down and beat him up, right? That is what was happening. After some time, the researchers took out one of those monkeys and introduced a new monkey in the cage. Now, this monkey did not know about this whole system of if someone goes to eat the banana, the other monkeys get electrocuted. And so what happened next is that when this new monkey tried to climb up the ladder, the other 4 monkeys pulled him down, beat him up. In some days, another monkey was introduced to the cage who never knew about what was happening in the cage. And when this second new monkey tried to climb up the ladder, even the first new monkey pulled him down and beat him up along with the other 3 monkeys that were previously originally there. Now this new monkey never knew why was he beating him, but he just did so because everyone around him was doing the same, right? And then in some time, all of these 5 monkeys were replaced by 5 new monkeys. Now these 5 monkeys had never experienced electrocution, and they still had this one thought in mind that no one should climb up the ladder to get the banana, because if they do so, something bad will happen. What is it exactly? No one knows, right? Now this is a very famous experiment that tells how the society around us works. There are so many things around us happening every single day, but we never try to question it. We never try to wonder, why does this thing happen in this way? Why can't it happen the other way? Or why aren't people looking at this opportunity? There's a lot of dogma, right? Central perception that everyone has, that everyone is running with without having any reasoning for it. And that, my friends, is the sad reality of the world that we live in right now. Whenever a society lacks free thinking, they fail to create something innovative, right? You will always see this chart when you will map down free thinking and innovation or novelty. It will always be a declining chart. Whenever there is low free thinking, there is going to be low innovation, and people are just not going to be creating something interesting, and they will just be doing what everyone around them is doing for the past 100 years or so. And that is the lack of free thinking. Once you install free thinking, you will be able to look at the world in a more holistic view, and you'll be able to tell without any biases what is best for you and what is best for you according to everyone around of you, right? When I took the decision to drop out of college, everyone around me used to think that I was crazy, right? The best thing for me to do according to the society was to actually graduate from my 4-year degree and work one more year in my college. What I did is to use my free thinking and my critical thinking to evaluate all of my options, all of my opportunity costs, and then arrive at a decision to drop out of college. And that is what I did, and that is what I want you to understand. Create this habit of critically analyzing everything around you, of questioning, of seeking truth, and not what everyone else is doing just because it is popular to do, right? And that is what in this video I want to talk about 3 ways in which you can actually install free thinking. You can develop free thinking in your own mind, right? The number one best way to do so is by meeting as many people as possible. What's your friend group like? I think the best thing you can do is to have a diverse set of friends around you, right? When I was in college, I had all developer friends around me, right? We all used to think the same. And what happens then is you create this echo chamber around of you. And because of that, your views are never challenged by anyone else. When you do have a group of friends with diverse cultures, diverse interests, different careers, what happens is that you can understand their perspective. You can understand their way of thinking. How do they look at the world? What lens are they using to perceive everything around them? And that will give you even more ability to understand what your thinking is and if it is the right way to think or not. Right? So the first thing you must do is to create a friend circle that is the most diverse as possible. Have someone who's studying in US as your friend. Have someone who's into law as your friend. Have someone who's into design as your friend. Have someone who is older than you as a friend. All of these people will have different perspectives for life. And when you talk to them, when you interact with them, you can understand how they think of everything. And that will help you create a better, thought process around everything in your life, for relationships, for your career, for your work-life balance, for everything around you, right? Like, I love having open-minded conversations with everyone around me. Like, I would just bring my friend and we would talk about hookups and relationships. Now, I am not a fan of hookups. I don't really indulge in any of that, but my friend does apparently. But that doesn't mean that I would stop talking to him. Absolutely not. I love having an open conversation about why he or she thinks it's a good option for him and why I think it is not a good option for me. And when you have that conversation, you are respectful of each other's beliefs, but at the same time, you can strengthen your own belief that, okay, this is why I understand that hookups work for you, but this is why I believe that being in a committed relationship is better for me, right? Just a simple example. So the more diverse friend group you have, the better you will be able to develop free thinking and have a more develop brain and develop perspective on life. So that's the first thing you should be focusing on. The second thing is to avoid biases that you see around you. The best example, confirmation bias. Just because you think that eating whey protein is harmful for you, you will start to look for articles and research studies that will actually say exactly what you want to believe in. And you will never see anything other than that, right? You have a tunnel vision that this is what I believe is right, and now you will find evidences that will confirm what your bias is. That's the biggest bias to run away from. You should always be looking for how can I invert my thinking and find reasons for that. And if you cannot find reasons for that, that is when you know that your thinking is concrete, right? So if I say that I think consuming whey protein is good for your health, I will invert that question. I will say whey protein is not good for me. And now I'll look for reasons why this statement is true. I will not find any statements that are scientifically proven. And then I would know that consuming whey protein is actually healthy for me. So that's the first bias that you should always run away from. Another bias that is there, it's called as the negativity bias, right? Just because you have 1,000 comments of people saying that Ishan, you are the best person in the world. But then you will have 10 comments of people saying that you suck. You are the worst person in the world. This video sucks. You will tend to focus on those 10 negative comments and not on the 100 positive comments, right? And this is a very good example of negativity bias. We are always looking for what is negative, what's wrong in what I'm doing, and we try to stick to that negative thing in our life, and we try to focus on that particular thing entirely. Anchoring bias is another interesting example. If you look at an expensive bag or expensive jewelry which has a higher price tag, you start to create a higher perceived value for it, right? You think that, okay, if this is worth 80,000 rupees, if a shoe is worth 80,000 rupees, it must be of great quality because it has a higher price tag, which is not entirely true all the time, right? But we try to create that bias that nahi, agar ye महंगा hai, this will have a higher perceived value, right? So you need to be aware of these biases around you. Self-servicing bias is another example. If you get your first job in your life, you will tend to give all of its credit to yourself that I worked super hard and I got this tech job in a top tech company. But if you get laid, some people try to shift the blame to the market conditions, right? So they would say that, hey, this market does not fit in, this boss was crazy, this company did not pay me well, did not serve me well. And so you are always trying to create that if anything good happens, it's because of me, anything bad happens, it's because of the external factors. Now, when you do that, you have self-servicing bias. Sunk cost fallacy is another bias to be aware of. Let's say, for example, that you're committed to someone in a relationship and it's been 2 years that you've been together, but now you just don't enjoy their company anymore. But just because you have invested the last 2 years of your time and your effort in this one person, you will be averse to the option of leaving them altogether, right? So you would still try to keep up with them, to work with them, to stay with them, even if you don't enjoy their company anymore, right? That's a great example of sunk cost fallacy. Availability heuristic is another such bias. Before you board a plane, if I show you a ton of videos of planes crashing, your mind will assume that flying on a plane is dangerous, even though statistically speaking, flying on a plane is much safer than driving your car on a road, prone to more road accidents than plane crashes, right? But because of what you've just seen, you start to create more assumptions. Group thinking is another bias. When you are in a group of people making a plan to go to Goa, deciding should I take a train, should I take a flight, or should I stay in a resort, or where, you will tend to agree to what everyone else is accepting in that group just because you don't want to create conflicts and arguments, right? This is a great example. All of us have those Goa plans that never really materialize, but when they do, you tend to agree to whatever the group is agreeing with, right? Even if you know that there is a better thing you could do with the group, you just say yes to what everyone else is doing because you don't want to create conflicts. Another bias to be aware of. Fundamental attribution error is another great example. If you see someone who has tripped and fallen on the road, you might assume that that person is clumsy, weak, and they are not strong enough, right? Versus in reality, it is also possible that the road or the surface is uneven or is slippery, right? So a lot of times we fall prey to these biases around us and we end up taking wrong decisions. The more you will be aware of these biases, you can understand that, okay, this is right and this is my personal bias that I should be aware of. The third thing you can do is to embrace creativity and your curiosity. Make sure that you ask questions about everything that happens around you. The more questions you will ask, the more you will be able to understand the root cause of everything that is happening around you. And if you do not find a root cause, that means that doing it is not right. The way something is done is not correct, right? So just make sure that you ask questions around you and embrace having a contrarian thinking, contrarian point of view, कि I think this is not right, इस तरह से होना चाहिए. Having a 4-year degree is not really effective, maybe dropping out is a better option. Just an example I'm giving. When you do this, you are able to develop critical thinking in your mind, and that is the best thing you can do if you are a 20-year-old watching this video. Make sure that you also read as much as possible on topics that challenge your beliefs as much as possible. So do that, and I hope that this video helps. Please share this video with your friends and spread the word with as many people as possible. I keep making these videos to help you become a better version of yourself. There is a whole playlist on self-development that I have made over the past year. Go watch that. Thank you so much for watching. Share this video with a friend of yours. Tag me on social at Ishan Sharma 90, and ये जो भेड़ चाल है ना उससे दूर हटो and develop your own thinking. Else you will fall prey to everything that is happening around you, and जो society बोलेगी आप वही करोगे, and you will never be able to think innovatively, never be able to think creatively. So make sure that you develop this. You can also hit the like button, subscribe. In the comment section मेरे को बताओ what is the one learning that you had from this video. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.